Yeah, I mean.
This okay. Now I'm starting to feel
Yeah.
put down.
Yeah. Look,
And it's right on time because we're on.
we on?
Yeah.
Oh, we on. All right, we on. Back at it again. This is O, the futuristic baby boomer.
Stop letting the progressive millennial.
Sherman, the booming boomer.
The booming boomer. And we got today in the house, my girl. We go way back. Sonia.
Woo! Applause.
Yeah, oh yeah. Do the Love Jones snap up in here. Sonia Pruitt, what up, girl?
Hey.
Man, we've been trying to get you
Glad
forever.
to be here.
Glad to have you. Now, when our guests come on, we always identify what generation we're on because, this is obviously Generation Us. So, where do you fall? Are you Millennial, Gen X, Gen Z, Boomer? Where?
I am the last year of baby boomers.
Okay, so you right with me.
Right there.
You actually, I was the last one in, so you must have gone in right before me.
Yes. That's
Okay, all right, okay,
This is
all
looking
right.
like 20v1 here.
All right, so okay.
man.
All right, so so Lavala's like, oh shit. Gotta racket y'all together. I gotta take y'all on. Well, it ain't the first time.
I have a disclaimer though. I already know these dudes right here. So if y'all see some shenanigans and laughter going on, it's because
It's because we've been
this
shenanigans.
young man, he's
We've been shenanigans for a long time, and we are about to shenan again.
Okay.
All right. So.
I see what you did there.
You saw what I did there?
I see what you
Okay,
did.
all right. I don't want to be noticed up in this motherfucker. So, I want to talk. We want to talk about the generational thing. And I know, Lavala's outnumbered and outgunned up in here today, but ain't the first time, and he's ready for it. But I'm
I don't know
curious.
about that.
I am curious though, because we had a conversation talking about how boomers tend to have a job, they worked a career. They're retired. They got a pension, and that's not been the
They
dynamic.
got a house.
That's
In
not
the
been
house.
that's not been the dynamic with millennials and Gen Z and younger generations. So, are a lot of you all do a lot of side hustles, and now is that a necessity for younger generations? Do you think, or is it simply just a lack of commitment to traditional
That question came
employment?
straight at me, or is there a general?
No,
anybody can pick that
I'm
up?
curious. Absolutely. I mean, I tell you what I think.
Okay.
I feel like, there is a lack of commitment to long-term involvement in the same job amongst younger generations. I think that from what I've observed and from people that I've talked to that have been employers that get ghosted and hire people, they don't show up and they work for a week or 3 or 4 days, then they don't come back. That seems to demonstrate a lack of commitment to either that job or a desire to work hard.
Is it a lack of commitment or a lack of choice? Did y'all have a choice?
Sure.
I mean, when you got a job back then, you had to keep that motherfucker. Like
I coulda
for
got
a
another
long
one.
time. No, you couldn't.
No. You had the choice.
You ought to be happy and glad you got a job back then. You know what I mean? Like,
Nah.
what a likelihood.
You got
not
a
true.
job, or you had the choice. You could just not be shit.
No.
Yeah,
it's not
or-
even that. Like if I worked this job, I could get another job at a different place. I didn't have to work that same job. I had choices like you have choices.
Interesting, because we grew up with our parents complaining so much about their jobs, but they kept it for 15, 20 years. Travel an hour and a half to go to work and come back through traffic. Their attitude from work was pretty much the atmosphere in the house. And that was a terrible childhood because of that.
You had a terrible childhood because they had to bust their ass?
Well, because they
I'm trying
did
to
not
understand.
have a choice to move on to something else. See, millennials exercise that choice, right? And we get a salary renegotiation every time we switch jobs, right? So it's
I
like,
don't think that it's not that they didn't have a choice, but perhaps they didn't know how to exercise their choices. They just was like, okay, this is all I can do. Now we're in a place where you are, where you're like, well, I don't have to necessarily stay here. I think culturally, for boomers especially, and maybe Gen X, I would say that I did not, nobody said to me, well, you have a choice, that, you don't have to stay here. Or as a matter of fact, you have a choice of what you want to do with your life. I was pretty much, it was implied or inferred that I was going to be pre-med But I didn't end up being a doctor because then I realized later on that I had a choice. But that wasn't part of my upbringing. So choice may not have been part of your parents' upbringing.
Oh, well, and here's the other thing I think that you're failing to give credence to, which is, yes, there was a commitment to being in a job with a focus on, if I stay in this job for a period of time and I get seniority, I'll get promoted. And if I get promoted, I'll make more money. And if I make more money, I'll become a supervisor. Become a supervisor, I can become a director. There was a pathway to upward mobility that would allow me to make more money and have more in life. And so I was more committed to that than I was, and probably more willing to take on the assholes along the way. You know, the shit ass supervisors that get in your shit, all the shit that, like, I don't want to deal with this, but I'll persevere through this because I have a greater goal.
Yeah, you know what? Speaking of greater goals, I think it was different socially because people were getting married in their 20s. They were having kids in their 20s. And they were getting jobs, not, just for themselves. They were getting jobs.
Family.
That's right. So they could feed their kids, so they could support their wives, so that they could, have a place for their kids to stay.
Yeah.
And so it was not so much, well, what am I going to do that I can enjoy? Where I can use all my skills and then do something on the side. No, it was like, look, I got a couple of kids, I got a wife, I need to take care of this. This is what I'm going to do, because this allows me. The job is not an end in and of itself. The job was a means to take care of take care of your family.
Yeah. Well, I do think I think things have changed, right? The way we also earn money was different. So, for example, the internet age started right at, sort of when I was a teenager, right? And so we started to hop online where you saw the brightest minds living in Silicon Valley, creating software application and making money that way. So the aspiration shift for our generation growing up and how we can earn money, which led to also having the flexibility, living remotely and things like that. It's like, okay, well, that is something that we aspire to do. So I think that shifts too from like climbing the corporate ladder. And I think also there's been like, we seem to care more about our environment and living conditions and like earth and like have a purpose as opposed to just working to climb the corporate ladder to take care of family. That kind of structure, a lot of things change. It's about adapting and surviving, like we were born into this world with certain rules and conditions and things that you guys preset, and we just have to adapt around them. And, hopping on the internet and all of that comes with it is to represent, is what you see now, but it's not necessarily we're lazy or we don't want to do, things are just different.
So, okay, so you make an interesting point because, my parents in the neighborhood we grew up in, every household, my parents, neighbors, all of them, they worked consistently at the same job. They did the same thing. That's what we saw in every household that I looked at. But there wasn't any social media, right? There wasn't seeing what
the Joneses
Jack
are doing
in Beirut
all the way down the street.
Right. Seeing what everybody in other places were doing and how they were living to be able to say, oh, maybe I could do something different, or maybe I should do something different, or maybe this job sucks, so I need to find me something else.
Yeah, you go.
So maybe that, but it does show up that when you do that, so now, you're jumping from job to job. Now you're starting at an entry level every single time you go to the next thing. So how do you ever be able to get the progression that you need to get the more income that you need to do what you want to do and build your stack?
I think, what you explained, that, we've got so many opportunities, we can do this, that, and the other. I compare that to when cable first came out. When cable first came out, if you had all that shit, you had like 200 channels. And you would end up not watching shit.
Right.
Trying to see what else was on. So it's kind of like that. I've got so many opportunities that I could actually end up just looking for shit to do and not do shit.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. There's so much chaos and confusion that comes along with it. You know, a lot of times it's just, like just like in anything, when it comes to dating, it comes to corporate and everything, it's like the barrier of entry has become so low to a lot of things that it seems like real opportunities, and people think they can do things on their own in a way that once they start to do it, the practice is a little bit more difficult than seen. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does. But it raises this question for me, which is, so it feels like you all go into something, hit a bump. I don't like the supervisor, or it's too hard, or I got to get up too early, or I don't feel like working on weekends.
I got to dress professionally.
Got to dress, and then I make a pivot to something else.
What cohort? I mean, what part of the cohort are you
pivot.
guys talking about? Because that mindset it's not a representation of all millennials. We're in government now. We're making decisions. We own businesses now. We're millennials.
Oh, y'all getting old. Y'all getting old.
We're innovating more than ever. Which millennial are you talking about? What this mindset that you speak of has to be a lower tier of a millennial group. It's not us.
Well,
but that seems to be the talking point. So
but yeah, you've probably aged out of that behavior to some degree because you're an old ass millennial.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a question about things like longevity and like pensions or retirement accounts. Do y'all, I mean, it just seems like I never hear any millennials talking about that is important. Like setting yourself up for a future beyond your work life, like later on in later years. What are you gonna?
I just think the whole system is disrupted. I think for the first time we are able to see through the curtain. We see that the government obviously is. Before, boomers used to. You turn on the news, you have Fox and CNN or whatever that representation was, and it was feeding you certain information, and those are the only assets you had to the presidents and information, and so you were more obedient. You follow the system, you follow the law. Everything is being exposed for us. We have so much access to the truth and information, it's ridiculous. And we have more of an autonomy. So we're experiencing a shift, and we're doing the best we can in that shift. But it seems like boomers, all they want to do is criticize us because they don't understand what life is like for us currently. And the reason I know that is because I'm experiencing something similar to the Gen Zers. And it's like, in the Gen Alphas, it's like, no, y'all motherfuckers are like, y'all are doomed. Like, y'all motherfuckers are doomed. Like, shit sucks for y'all. Like,
I don't think that's new. It's just a generational differences.
Evolution, a generational evolution that just happened.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we had after Howard's homecoming. Howard, hate you. So young ladies on the yard were wearing these almost nothing. Their whole entire behinds were out, and so in one of the Howard alumni lady groups, ladies of Howard University, we were talking about that, and I saw on both sides the women who were my age or baby boomers or Gen Xers, and then you had younger ladies having some conflict, and there was some ageism going on, and you guys are mad because you're not cute. I'm still cute, but that's not why I'm pointing it out. I just think I don't want to see nobody's ass hanging out, right? But so generationally, there's always going to be some friction in fashion, in your work values. It's just to be expected.
So the question becomes, is it to your point, observation, or is it criticism? Because it may not be criticism. It may simply just be observation.
And I'll tell you about observation.
Uh-oh, tell us.
Yeah, I went to the Morgan Towson football game. It was still warm. And you talking about ass out. The brothers, that I was hanging around with my age, we were like,
yes.
And the young brothers who went to school with them young ladies was like,
unimpressed.
They see that shit every day. It matters not.
It's everywhere.
It matters not. And so, I think it's observation, but damn.
I asked some young men, since we're talking about that, I did ask some young men how they felt about seeing young ladies dressed that way. Because none of the men had sagging pants.
That's no longer a thing?
I guess not.
I don't see that anymore.
You know why,
I'm
don't you?
happy about that.
Because if you got saggy pants, you can't get a date. The pants come up real quick.
Okay. The young men were, when I asked them, what's your perception of that? They were like, oh, it looks good, but I would never date her seriously.
Keyword seriously.
Yes.
Smash and pass, but
I might date her tonight.
But it was forbidden for us to have that conversation in our group about, are these young ladies understanding that
perception?
Yeah. Well, now, so then some people, they're it became like they're the victim now. They're just being fashionable. That is not fashionable to show your whole ass. I'm sorry. That's my perception. Who wants to see that? I don't want to see nobody's whole ass. I don't even want to see mine.
Depends if it looks good.
Well, I mean, I'm still holding on, but I'm just saying, why do I need to see? What is the purpose of me seeing this so that you can? And then the funny thing about it was a young lady. She was discovered at Howard. She's a model, and she comes on campus with her fashionable ass, but she wasn't showing her ass. She was fully clothed. She had on a really short, but you just see her thighs. That's it. And her legs.
Right, but she's a model, so she's got economic, interest in making sure she carries herself a certain way and maintain her money.
Fashionable though, so I'm saying,
right.
So it's fashionable. Okay, I just that's me, and I know people are probably going to be like, oh, she's.
Well, I mean, but it depends on the perspective, right? Because if a honey is out there with her whole ass showing, right, you don't want to see it. But she might consider it bait. Because some folks may want to see that.
But it was forbidden to have that conversation because my thing was, what if this is not coming from a healthy place? I understand choice and in being able to, show how you feel, show through the way that you dress. But what if that person, we don't know, their background suggests abuse? What are they really displaying? And is it healthy? Can we have a conversation about our mental health here? And
Well, and that's a great point. But and that also bleeds into peer pressure too. Because if everybody's dressed that way, it may not be what you want to dress, but you don't want to be on the outside. You want to be on the end. So you're going to dress the way
that
everybody else is dressing.
But again, why can't we have that conversation without calling names? And there was name calling on both and on all the generations.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, and that goes back, I think, to how you approach the conversation, right? Because if people feel attacked, people get immediately defensive. And if you're coming from a generational perspective where somebody's whole experience in life is older folks telling them what the fuck to do,
right?
They may have knee-jerk reactions to that.
I understand that.
That make them less receptive to being open to that.
Yes, coming from a matriarchal family, strong matriarch.
So
that should be a question. We should talk about that. The dynamics in the culture and in our families and who's in charge and control and all that.
That leads into a question about why the black family is broken in the way that it is, and there's been an agenda against black males into incarcerating them, leaving females as head of household having to raise young men, and how do they do all of that? So I mean, that opens a whole nother can of worms. That's a whole individual podcast by itself.
Yeah, I don't multiple times. We got to dissect.
I don't like using that term that the black family is broken. The black family is not broken. It isn't. It is, in fact, the backbone of black culture. It really is. Now, it may be different than some other cultures, right? But it's not broken. Those who have no strong family ties, they're broken. There's no question about it. But it doesn't matter if it's patriarchal or matriarchal. If you've got a leader of a family and you have a family unit, family structure, family culture, family traditions, you're going to be all right.
I think that's right, and I agree with that. But again, there has been a plan that's been implemented and executed to incarcerate black males that has left had consequences. And so, obviously the label may not be broken, but it has had an effect. and that's a reality, and that's something. But I mean, again, women have had to, as they always have, had to step up and be everything to what the family needs in those circumstances. But one of the things I am curious about, though, is that there is this. I notice, there's a lack of, home ownership being prioritized by younger generations. And I wonder whether or not is that simply that you all, younger generations, and I got to stop saying you in that necessarily because you're so old millennial. Is that more a function of not wanting home ownership or just not being able to afford homes? I mean, what's the genesis of that, would you think?
Again, I'm not representing all generation. I mean, all millennials.
They voted you last week. I
can't really. You got to ask the question. Look at me like the older millennial here. I'm like, are we having an open table or this is just like?
Well, my angle. It's my angle. I mean, my angle is at you.
That's what I was asking. So where the boomer questions in there? You're like, there's both, and all of a sudden he's like.
Is this what happened in the family reunion?
Right. Hey, young mom, come here. Let's.
Young blood, young blood.
Right.
Let me ask you a question.
But again, man, I think these things are just so just complex questions because it's not one answer. I can approach the fact that we didn't have the shot to be able to afford homes, right? Due to a lot of reasons. The depression with the 2008, right? When we were leaving, going to college or and were promised a certain amount of job and for our degrees and things like that didn't add up, right? Into growing and being in the experiencing the pandemic. So how are we going back to living with parents and thinking about marriage? How are we going back and thinking about buying a home? How can we afford a home? Well, we got to adjust. We're going to be nomads because that's an option. We adapt and survive as humans. So a lot of things that happen has led us to create these unconventional way of living that I feel like is criticized in a way that just needs to be looked at with a different lens.
Okay, so I want to go back to the criticism because again, I wouldn't say criticize. I would say observe. Like I observe.
Okay, all right, fine,
I observe.
Fine.
I observe.
They're being nice to them. That's why they're I observe. They'd be like, y'all
younger
suck.
folk. No, I observe younger folk not prioritizing home ownership, and the question that I have is because of lack of wanting one or inability to afford one?
I would think inability to afford one. Why would I not want a home? Why would I not want a home? Just period. Even if I could travel and go to different places, if I can have a home in addition to that, I will have a home.
But if you spend a lot of time going to different places and having experiences traveling, it takes away from your financial ability to save for a home.
True. I mean, listen, we do travel a lot more than boomers.
No question.
We've seen the world, but no crib.
But that's my point. And it's an observation.
Yeah. I just don't, I don't know if it's chicken or the egg, which came first. I don't know. But I think there's a correlation.
You feel attacked?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I feel poked. I feel a strong poke with like a Kimbo slice hand.
Well, so let me ask you this question, and everybody, based upon observation, have any of you all observed that younger people now seem to be less inclined to embrace the institution of marriage? Like, it seems like younger folks are more in the lane of not getting married, and I wonder whether or not is that driven by economic realities, cultural changes, or a lack of faith in the construct of marriage.
If that's true, if your observation is accurate, right? I think people are certainly getting married at an older age, right? Goes back to my point. People used to get married in their 20s. Right. People used to get married in their early 30s. And now, and believe me, there are more people who are not married than are married. And that did not used to be the case in this country. So it's a cultural shift as well. So your observation, may not have a basis in desire, right, of these people, but more it's happening later, right? It's a cultural shift that marriage isn't the institution that it was all cracked up to be. It may have a lot to do with the fact that religion is fading out of the society as well.
So many,
because marriage was closely tied to, this is what you do, this is how you live a pious life. You get married, you have kids, and you have grandkids, and then you die and go to heaven. So
I do agree. I think marriage was an institution that was also tied into religion. But if you take away the religion aspect of it, millennials are also getting married based on the institution aspect. Okay, what is in it for us? How can we kind of structure our lives to benefit marriage if done the right way, right? Because it's like if you have kids together, right? It's better for healthcare, like joint. You're tied in all of these different industries, right? You invest together, you buy a home together. You don't have to worry about who's having a different name when you go to pick up the kid from daycare. The kid know who the father and mom is, And I think like if I'm not planning on having kids, or if I can't afford a home, that would also affect my decision in wanting to get married, because maybe I can be in a relationship and maybe those institutional values don't really benefit me in the way I want to live. So I'm not going to get married. Right. So, you know what I mean?
Okay,
No.
So,
that's interesting.
So as an older woman,
No.
let me tell you a secret.
Mm-hmm.
More and more women, my friends, women that I talk to who are in my age group, we're like, I don't even know why we got married in the first place. And not only that, but do we really have a desire to be married again? Now, we're okay with being in a relationship, but more and more I'm also hearing, well, as long as he has his own house, his own stuff, he can go home, I can have my home, we can get together, but we don't need to get married because, you called it a construct and you called it a contract. And I see both of those things. I'm like, well, why do I need another contract? I don't need another contract. I can be in a monogamous, loyal, committed relationship without having a contract. And so who made it up that I had to be married? And is it attached to religion, which I'm a spiritual woman. I would not call myself religious by any means at this point in my life. Yeah. And that has been an evolution.
So that's an excellent point.
That's very interesting that there are women out there who are saying, I don't know why I got married in the first place. I will say this.
Now they're thinking about it looking back.
My sister recently got married. 70 years old, she got married.
Okay.
He has his own house. She has her own house. Mm-hmm. They live separately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But why did they get married?
Marriage too now.
Because they wanted the companionship.
But do you have to have a marriage to have companionship?
I don't know why they got married.
Ask her so you can come
I have
back.
I have a question.
Because they wanted to get married.
I have a question. Was it her first marriage?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
It was not her first marriage.
Now, let me tell you why I asked that question. I have noticed in people that I know through my journey of life, people that have never been married have a desire to be married with an almost fervent desperation to do it because they romanticize what marriage will be like.
Yes.
And they've never experienced it, as compared to people that I know who've been married and divorced that have a much more laissez-faire attitude towards whether they get married again.
Yeah.
And I was someplace recently. Our boy's crib a couple weeks ago. And the question was asked of me, well, you were married before, are you going to get married again? Yeah, of course. You'll get married again. And I said, I see myself getting married again. For a long period of time, I had said I would not get married again, but I see myself getting married again.
Long period of time, this brother said, I ain't doing it.
Long period of time.
Never again.
But here's the thing. the reason, and they ask, well, why? You know, why have you not gotten married up to this point, and why might you get married again? Mm-hmm. So for me, the quality of my life is really about a 9 out of 10. And the reason that it's not 10 is because I don't have enough Bitcoin. No. So when I meet somebody and I start kicking it with somebody, I'm only going to get married to somebody if it's going to enhance the quality of my life. Yeah. And I recognize that bar is ridiculously high. Yes. So if anybody's bringing any energy that makes me have a step down, I'm not here for it.
And you're not going to get married.
Miss me with that. So I don't know if that's true. But what I do know this. If I do and you hear that I do, it's somebody.
I need to be there. Can I be there?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be somebody that I'm like, okay, this person enhances my life and I'm going to be better than a 9 on a scale from 1 to 10. And I'm telling you, I have not ruled that out at all.
I feel the same. I would get married again as well. I think love is. Yeah, I was for a short period of time, and
you was still married. It don't matter how long you was.
What's the qualifier? What is that?
People
still married.
When you have so many more things that are tied in your marriage, and it's been for so long, you name it, kids, all of that, it changes. So I just wanted to kind of set the whatever, but
just a second.
But I would.
Look, he made the decision, and we're really talking about the decision. You
made
the decision to get married.
Yeah. So, but I would again. It's not about marriage. It's just about being with someone that I love and respect and can see life with. And if we see that marriage has the benefits to our relationship, then we'll get married, right? If not, we don't have to get married. And I think that's what it is nowadays. It's just optional. It's more optional as opposed to that's the next step in your life.
Does it have to be love? Can it be, you know what, let's get married so that we can enhance the quality of our life, right? Because separately, I can't afford a house.
Right.
But if you and I are married, we can get a house.
Do you need to be married to get a house together?
You don't. But separately, I can't really afford health insurance.
There you go. That's one of the biggest benefits of the institution.
Okay, so there are benefits.
The benefits of the institution. Yeah.
That's right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. You know what? I get a bigger tax return if I'm married and I file jointly.
There are benefits.
Yeah.
I guess I'm looking at it from a romantic lens too, because I don't see, for me, would I get married again? Yes, if it was really, really important to him. But for me, I can have all of those things, and the financial piece, I get that too.
So what is dating like now in this era for you? Oh, we got a big sigh.
Is it online? Is it in person? Is it both?
Have you done one?
It's both.
You've done a dating app?
Yes, I've done more than one.
How's that working out for you?
I've been catfished.
What is that? I mean, how does that happen?
I've been mud thrown. I've been puddle splashed. I've been ghosted.
Just recently, dating app.
Yeah.
Facebook dating.
Okay.
I like Facebook dating because you can see who they know.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
And if you respect the people that they know, you're like, okay.
Okay.
If
all
they
right.
know some assholes,
it's a little
like,
credibility. Yeah. Right.
I mean, people hit you on Facebook, like.
It's like a little. It's like a group, like Facebook.
You're not on our time, are you?
No.
Wait. So.
No.
Okay. I just asked.
So Facebook has a group.
That's Facebook dating.
Facebook dating that you can join.
Yes. You'll be there soon.
I bet I won't. I'll be in space before then.
It's coming, baby.
I'll be up in Mars.
A few more years. All y'all millennials will be on there. Hey, you check out Facebook dating?
I was like, wait, Facebook dating?
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
I know Facebook Marketplace.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. You know the guy that's standing by his car? Well, it's the guy now. Okay.
How much you want for that?
Right. Exactly.
Same thing. Okay?
Exactly. I'll buy the car, but are you bringing it over?
Same thing. I have not had any luck. Because you know what's with apps.
Try something
Oh, that shit is funny.
It's with apps. It's easy to hide. It's just like any other. You can hide behind the app. You're not really who you try to put your like you're. These things. You're none of these things really. I have not had any luck with apps.
So what is it?
Why are you looking at me? Like,
What is it? What does real life dating look like? How does that happen? I mean, Safeway? No, seriously, I'm not mad. I mean, where do you meet people in real
I
life?
have not. I mean, I ain't met nobody recently, so I can't speak to that. But I would prefer to meet someone organically.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would prefer that because
Absolutely.
you can read body language, you can hear, you use all the senses to determine whether this is a piece of shit or whether you really want to date this person.
Right.
So where do you go to meet people organically? Right? I mean, how does that happen?
Historically, church.
Well, that's one,
I mean,
Well,
that
I'm
is
out
one
of luck
place.
right now.
Yeah, I mean,
That is
but
one
'Cause I haven't
place.
been
But I'm wondering, where do people, 50 and up go to, meet people that they might be interested in? Where is that?
So I'm not sure that's okay. So for the great question for me, because I don't do traditional typical stuff. For instance, I'm a househead, so I'm always out there dancing.
you still doing a house.
I'm still doing that.
Still doing
and so maybe I'll meet some guys. I would like to meet some guys that are househeads
In
too.
the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to meet that, and those are the places I would meet them. Right.
What's the
but-
demographic of house music places now? I mean, is it older or is it younger? Is it mixed or what?
It's a mix.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is something I really like about it because it's multi-generational.
Right.
Let me tell you something. When I first came to the States, I was around 10, 11. And within the first 2 weeks, I'm in New York, a crowded place. I mean, completely just chaos everywhere. I'm like, what is this place? Right? Coming from a place where I thought there were only black and white people that exist in the world, right? I never knew Asian and like none of that.
Right.
Coming to New York, and everybody I would just stare at. Just the way they look, and they very interesting in the fashion statement. I'm like, hold on. My brother always told me, he's like, AB, you don't stare at people here. That was one of the first things he told me. You don't stare at people too long here. And I was like, okay, got it. Didn't change, but I just knew how to hide it because I'm just a people watcher. But that was my first the idea was, here in America, people are more private. People are more individualized. People are just in their own, you go to the club with your friends, you come back home with them. You rarely socialize with other people. It's not like that back in other areas or other country. You know what I mean? If you go to Africa, nightlife is different. People are spread out and socializing. It's easy to meet a stranger. Here, man, the older I get, it's harder to make a friend because people are just in their own lane, and you know what I mean. So online becomes the avenue. The girl that I see in the grocery store.
Drake's cut, man. No new friends. I mean, but that shit happens as you get older, though.
And the playground days disappear now. All of that is different. So, yeah. And there aren't third spaces where people can go and socialize in the U.S. You know what I mean? Like green third spaces where strangers can meet and populate, and they have the opportunity to interact. So where are you going to meet someone? If you're 30, if you're 40, if you are now stuck, you're more habitualized with, you know what I mean? You're a creature of habit, going to work, coming home, probably have kids and all that. Where are you going to meet strangers? At the bar, they came with their people.
That's a good point.
That's
a good point.
So
that's a good point.
You got to go online.
Well,
you don't have to. Don't do it. If you want,
it's not natural. It's not.
But people do meet online, and and have like these thriving, flourishing relationships.
Yeah, I mean, I know people
I just
that
have not had that experience.
Yeah.
Well, so what have you experienced on? I mean, people literally not being who they are, or send you
a lot of that. I've also experienced, and then part of that, I have to admit, part of it is my strong personality. It don't matter if it's online or if I meet somebody in person. But it's easier for a man who might be. I don't know why I attract a lot of introverts, which I am not, and that can cause some friction, right? And so when you're online, though, you can hide behind the app because you don't have to show that you don't like to be around people or you don't want to go out in crowds. And I want to travel and I want to go out and dance and I want to do these things. And this dude might just want to stay home. But I don't find that out right away.
Do you ever tell them when they say, I just want to stay at home? You ever say that's why your ass is alone? That's why I'm out.
And they won't say, you know, I want to stay at home. They'll just be like, well, I don't like doing that, or I don't like doing. For instance, I reached out to a guy the other day and said, hey, you know, I've been thinking about taking up hiking. You want to go out hiking with me? That's a pretty benign, you know, kind of activity. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. I can work out at home.
Oh.
Well, see, you struck a nerve because Lavala hikes all the time. He's a big hiker. He likes to hike.
Well, I would. So, how do you go about, in person? I know that like chemistry matters, right? The way someone smells and you know, eye contact, all those interactions, they matter in person. So it's great. You still have to eventually get there. That's the thing with online. You have to start online and eventually get there. It's about the process of which you narrow that down to get to the person. Online is just a conveyor belt. Okay, I see someone that I wouldn't have seen on my regular path. Hey, let's connect. You seem to be someone that I would like in person. But how are you able to do that online successfully? Because the photos that could be fake. Some people put photos on there that represents years before then. You know, all these different things. And you got to be able to navigate through that to get to the in-person, okay, chemistry, great, let's connect, or no.
Which is the problem.
And for millennials and the younger generation, we've experiencing this massive, so women are looking for the traditional courting process and how you meet someone in person. But online, the option is so plenty for, I can meet someone 2-3 times within 2 weeks. So I'm supposed to pay for your dinner. I'm supposed to chauffeur you. I'm supposed to go pick you up and drive. So I think the expectation too hasn't really evolved into a way where this is just to see if I even like you. I don't want to have to pay $80 just to see if I even like you. We met online.
It's cable TV.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Because I'm about to go to the next one in 2 hours.
I see that.
I don't have any argument. Let me tell you this.
It's cable TV.
Let me share.
So why don't we understand and just
recently
agree upon that? Let's go to a coffee shop. Let's go hike. I'm sorry.
Oh, now you know. Over here. Okay, no.
You caught it.
Good. So I just had a recent experience. Someone I had met on the Facebook dating app. We have a mutual friend in common who I really love, and she's like wonderful. I'm like, he must be a nice guy if they're friends, right? We chatted a little bit. I got the sense that I was going to be doing all the reaching out, and I didn't like that. But because I'm really open to meeting somebody and finding out who they are, I invited him to dinner.
You cook for him?
No.
Or out
I
to
didn't
dinner?
say to my house. I said to dinner.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm inviting you to dinner. And so when I called him to firm up the plans for dinner, he says he wasn't feeling well. I'm like, okay. He says, can I call you tomorrow because I'm about to eat some soup or something and I'm going to call you. Okay. He never called. But, you know, you can get that meeting a guy in person.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying there's some, maybe if I had met him in person, maybe I would have sensed that he probably full of shit.
Yeah, look, he's a soup eating nigga. So
Right.
yeah. I'm
offering you a delicious meal on my dime. Because I'm trying to be a 2025 kind of woman.
I'm going to have some Campbell's soup and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and go to
I
sleep.
can have some strained beets and I'll call you tomorrow.
But the minute he said I was having soup and I don't feel good, I knew that date wasn't going to happen, right? So I'm like, okay. I wasn't attached. I'm like, I hope you feel better. And that was it.
And that's how you got to treat online.
Yeah.
You can't be attached because it's just, you know.
And no, I didn't call her and say, is that your friend? Because he an asshole. No, I didn't do that. Because I don't really care that much, honestly. It's like, oh, he's not the one. That takes evolution, too, knowing when someone is not the one.
But see, here's the thing. I mean, again, and I own this. You know, the older I've gotten, the less I have in terms of tolerance, right?
Say less.
Yeah, I mean, because literally, I mean, I remember years. It's been a long time, but I mean, this particular time I went out years ago, and this particular person, I remember it vividly because we went to hang out, and I said, the game was on. I said, yeah. I said, oh yeah, the game's going to come on in a little bit, and she said, oh, you watch sports, and I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah, and she said, yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Oh.
And I was like, oh. No, it's not gonna be a problem.
No,
Trust
it's
me,
not. It
ain't.
Yeah.
And I was out.
Yeah.
No, I mean, because I'm not even going down that road. I'm not even going. No, we're not gonna. It's not gonna be a Sunday on the NFL day, and we're gonna. You're gonna be mad because I ain't going to the garden.
Is that tolerance that you're speaking of, or just knowing that at this point in your life, you're just like, there's just. We're not even gonna have this conversation. It doesn't matter.
I just know, for me, to your point, but I have no tolerance for somebody who wants to change me to do something different that I know I'm not in alignment with.
Okay. Yeah. I like that.
Man. Yeah. The older you get, the less you want to change.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
Well, I mean,
particularly if it's
Did he
working
have to
for you.
change that though?
So it was like if him watching sports was going to be a problem,
It was going to be a problem.
then he just avoided the problem and said, "I'm not changing that." And if that's a problem for you, we're not going to get along because this brother got the NBA channel, so he can watch basketball every day during the season. So if that was going to be a problem, they were going to have a problem every day.
We're going to have problems.
So the question then becomes, is it the apps or is it just that boomers, the older you get, you are less likely to date because meeting someone new requires more adaptation?
Well,
nicely.
hold on.
More compromise. And if you are stuck in your ways, you both will be like, I don't like you. I don't like you either. Like,
Well, hold on.
But is it fair to say that? Are you implying that he's stuck in his ways because
He
wants
is
to-
implying that shit.
That's
He
what
damn
I
sure
feel like
is.
He's stuck in that one way.
Yeah, one way.
Why is he stuck to enjoy sports? What about her being stuck on?
There you go.
Get some shit you want to do while he's watching the game.
Right. So, because here's what does work, right? What does work when I'm kicking it with somebody and she's like, I'm like, yeah, I want to watch the game. There's a game at 1 o'clock Sunday and there's another one at 4. Cool. I tell you what, I'm going to watch the game with you at 1. And then after that, I'm going to go get a manicure and a pedicure. We good.
Yeah.
Like, there's no issue.
That was a negotiation. If I
There's
ever
no,
heard one.
there's no
Yeah.
problem.
Oh,
we
for
have
sure.
no issue, right? But and let me ask you this though: as you have gotten older, do you find that you are less receptive than you used to be?
yeah.
You set in your ways already?
Yeah, I mean, it saves me time. I'm getting older. I got other shit to do and worry about. You know what I mean? I don't have the tolerance to deal with the bullshit as I did when I was a kid.
There
Because
you
time
go.
was different.
There's
I'm not
just some
disagreeing.
shit that you're not
Which is why
going
I'm
to
saying,
do.
which is why I'm saying, as a boomer, when you get to a boomer, is it more, I'm being unbiased.
No, you're
know what I mean? 'Cause
you're making an
I-
observation.
Exactly. I'm
And you're
going through the
asking a
same
question.
shit.
And
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer your question like,
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
Yeah, what happened to you? You're gonna get more rigid.
I
in your
know.
shit.
I agree. I'm willing to
feel like
bet.
that word change. I'm always open to change, but I there's some shit I just don't see why I should have to change.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but see, here's the other part.
But you just accumulate more of that as you get
No,
older.
but you know what?
Actually, it's not more of it. It's just it's a handful of things
Right.
that you know.
That's right. That's right.
that
That's right.
I am not compromising
That's right.
on this. I'm
That's
just
exactly-
not going
That's
to do
right.
it.
That's exactly right. Because there are a lot of things. I like to think, and in all fairness, I think that I'm pretty flexible on a whole lot of issues. Really, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy to eat in. I'll even cook. I'm happy to go out. We can go out.
I even drive.
I don't
Uber
look,
over the bus boys and boys.
I like Chinese food. I like Indian food. I like Asian. I'm flexible. And if there's something I haven't tried, yeah, let's try that food. Of course, cool. I'm down with that, right? But there's some things, like Sherman said, there's a handful of things that are non-negotiables for me. And I'm not. I'm not going to go down the road of, well, it's not really important. No, it is important to me.
The benefits are you know yourself more, so that also is where whereas like maybe if you're younger, you think you have all these options, but the chances are you're not going to end up with them. But you just don't know yourself enough to know that you guys are going to separate.
What a great point.
But you still date a lot. When you're older, it's just like, well, I just know more of myself, so it'll take me a while because I don't come across that every day. But when I do come across, it sticks. But it's going to take me a while to get there.
That's a great point.
When you're older,
That's a great point.
When you're older,
yeah,
you realize I ain't got much time left. Shit. I ain't got time to be miserable if I can avoid it. You understand?
Yeah. Or then maybe you have also what it's about. Maybe you guys can speak to that, but maybe the age dynamic and maybe just wanting to date someone that makes you feel happy and just, that will probably meet your energy level. Maybe if you're a woman, because I feel like women have more energy and want to do more things in the later years than guys wants to do. Well, so maybe she might find a younger dude to take her on.
Just lay around and take care of y'all.
Yeah, but that's not so. But here's the thing, like
sounds good to me.
But here's the thing,
guys want to chill with the boys in the den. And
no, I really do. I think it's when you're in alignment with somebody, right? Because somebody that doesn't particularly feel like going out on a cold ass night, but is definitely down to be out kicking it outside during the summertime on the outside, and catch some live music.
Yeah,
all that shit's fantastic. You know what I mean? But if somebody wants to be out because they want to be out, regardless of the weather, like. Yeah, you don't miss me with that shit. I'm not. It's 22 degrees.
He
I'm not
watching
going out.
the game while she goes out in this weather,
right.
And we can compromise because I'm down
and
with
I'll
that.
be back in a minute.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
No
look,
problem.
I ain't down to go out and stand outside and be cold. But yeah, it's cold, but we can still go out as long as it's from garage to garage.
Yeah, as long as it's a warm place we're going to end up in.
Right.
But that's why in a relationship, having other relationships
That's
are
a compromise.
important. Well, having other because
You mean like friends?
Yeah,
and stuff?
go out with your girlfriends and I'll go hang out with the boys.
That's
I
right.
get to talk to the boys about things that I want to vent about that I don't really that I won't necessarily want to talk to you about. But if you have a relationship where they don't have more friends outside that relationship, everything is just about you two, and it becomes really difficult to maintain that relationship.
Codependent
you know what
on
I mean?
you. Absolutely.
Yes,
Right.
I need you to have friends.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
You need to have friends and-
associates.
Other
Associations. That's
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
I don't want your
Go without
only
me
thing-
today,
I don't want your only thing to be me.
Right. Absolutely. But so that's interesting because that tees up something, when we talk about open relationships and polyamory and things of that nature. I mean, I'm curious about, is that a sign of progressive thinking? Or is it really more a function of a lack of commitment to wanting to be monogamous and being, involved in a traditional quote unquote relationship? What do you think about that? I don't know a lot of older polyamorous folks. I don't know a whole lot of
We
them.
know though.
Yeah, well, we might not know.
We know.
That's
We might not
true.
know. We might
That's
not know.
true. You might not know.
Might not know.
You guys have the capacity to be more polyamory than younger because you're retiring, you got nothing but time. and at its core to be poly,
You just stop stereotyping over here.
at its core, you're poly. The best thing is is time equity and communications. You got that down pat. You could date multiple people successfully and experience life with them. I think the idea of what society think poly has been it's just so warped that in order to have the conversation, we have to come to a common ground and understand what is poly, because when we say that, people think, oh, you guys are just maybe getting together for convenience purposes or to have sex a lot or you name it, but none of them represents some of the same core values that a family or monogamy relationship has. It's like, no, you can still cheat, you can lie, you can be you still have to commit to your partner. You still have to.
The expectation.
You have to go through boundaries. You practice love. And then if you find someone else, you do the same, with the boundaries that both of your partners have. And that's what it is. And in order to manage that, you have to have twice the capacity to be able to maintain both of them, because it's extremely difficult and it requires a whole lot. And I think the reason why people are not poly because they don't have the bandwidth to be able to do that.
They ain't got the time.
It ain't because,
Time.
it ain't because. So it's just a choice.
It sounds like you need to be retired to be poly.
Yeah, right. So look,
you,
baby.
need to have enough hours in a day to be able to handle all this shit.
So look, we gonna be poly, right? We gonna be poly. All right? I got you and these other 2 bitches on the side. Now, if you catch me with a third bitch, I'm cheating.
That's not how it goes.
That's
Ray.
hilarious.
That's hilarious, sir.
because I only said 1 or 2. So the third one, if I didn't tell you about the third, it is cheating.
That's cheating.
You only
It
told
is.
me about 2. Yeah, it is.
So I'm
He
intrigued.
nailed it.
It is. You know it.
I'm intrigued by the idea.
Poly for Dummies, that's the book. We that is all you need to know.
He nailed it. That's right.
Because that's flexible, right? It is about you guys, what you guys constitute, and it can look it can look like anything. And I think some people want a nuclear household. They want to still have wife and kids, and then maybe together join the lifestyle and date multiple people together as partners. You have some people who wants to practice non-hierarchical relationship where any partner that I'm with, none of them have veto power over my individual relationships. And you guys just coexist as metamors, as they'll call it. You know, you become...
Well, help me understand that piece. So if you have multiple partners, no individual partner can veto the other partners? Well, I don't understand that.
So if I want to have a relationship. I mean, I'm looking for a relationship. I'm non-monogamous. You know, I have different needs in life, on a different journey, you name it. I am okay with having a relationship where that person is dating another person. But for me, I require to explore that relationship to the max potential that is possible without that person's other relationship intervene.
Okay.
As long as I'm able to do that, because I'm not submitting to no one else. You know what I mean? That's my thing. I'm not getting in a relationship with another woman and having to... Now, I'll compromise. I'll work with you. You know, we can coexist together in things. But I'm not going to have someone else dictate my events with you in life, dictate my how much I want to explore my love with you, whether sexually, financially, all those different planes. We can have a conversation about it, but our decision is based on our decision, not your other partner.
The 2 people. You're not
That's
the other parties or party
Right.
is not going to have an impact on how you and I navigate moving forward.
It's about what you and I want, and there's an effect, right? The other person, obviously, their opinion matters. You know, if we want to move to this area, you have 3 people to consider that, right? Obviously, but the things that shouldn't, that doesn't get in the way of you shouldn't intervene, right? That's the idea. But anyway, so you have all these different dynamics and structure, different reason why people go into relationship, this E&M world. And so when you hear people talk about poly, it's just tucked under that umbrella, and we're having a conversation where it's like, well, how do I answer that question? Because it's nothing like what you guys may think it is like. It's like completely nothing, but it makes for great comedy, though. You know, it's extremely hard work, and it's a choice that a human being has to make to love multiple people, because you're responsible for multiple people. If you do anything, or if you cheat, or if you have unprotected sex here, if you have cut STD, you have to explain that to multiple people.
I am intrigued by cheating in a polyamorous relationship. I'm intrigued by that.
Yeah, but one relationship is hard as hell.
Yeah.
I can't imagine 2.
Well, okay, but so, could you see yourself being in a polyamorous relationship?
No.
There you go. And it's for everyone. The thing is, one thing that's important is that everybody needs to realize that people now have the option to practice multiple types of relationship dynamics. That's all that matters. No one is going to judge you if you want to be monogamous. You know, if that structure works for you, that's great. If you want to marry, that's awesome. But someone who's poly, don't think that is some sort of disorder either. You know what I mean? Or it's just, I don't know. Maybe seek to understand it. Maybe if you can't understand it, that's awesome. But
well, you're saying it's not a lack of commitment. It's actually a higher level of commitment.
It's a higher level, much
more
higher.
Commitments.
When done right, it's much higher. Right, the upsides are highs, right? But it's high, is high stakes in lots of ways, and that's just something that you have to understand.
In that world, how do you because this is very different than boomers and Gen X. I mean, how do you define infidelity, right? In when you have emotional affairs or sexting, all these different blurred boundaries, right? When you were, boomers they didn't have text messaging, they weren't texting back then and shit. You know what I mean? Like you brought your ass home and shit at 6 o'clock every damn day. You set the clock by. You know what I mean? It was like,
well, you could have heavy breathing over the phone. you couldn't see him, but
over the landline.
Yeah, over the landline.
Yeah. I mean, but
what you got? Oh, I done dropped the phone.
It's just about explicit communication. That takes a lot of calibration in the beginning to find out what it is that what your boundaries are. It's like, hey, I'm with you. I'm with you, and maybe I'm curious to date other women casually. I don't want an emotional relationship with them, right? So every time I explore this relationship, it is in part, it is low maintenance, and it's casual. You know that it will never be this. I will always practice safe sex with this person. I'll let you know, put it on my calendar when I'm going to meet this person, when I'm getting back, where we are. If you have a conversation with you about how it went, full transparency. At any point, if you feel uncomfortable about something, we can discuss it. We can create more boundaries, or we can let flow. So it's just about extreme honesty, transparency, and communication. That's what is required to work in a polyamorous relationship. And most relationships are not willing to do that.
Base relationships don't want to have that level of communication. They hide everything.
A lot of people lie. This is white lies. This is a lot. It is just less room for that. You have to really be in, and I think, if you do that, then yeah, you can hurt your partner. You can cheat on your partner. You could do something that you didn't, talk about, constitute. You can.
But, if you have that level of transparency and communication, then you don't have to, because you can have that level of transparency and communication, right?
It also becomes freer, right? Because, I know the flow of these things. I know what I know what you're about. I've seen this before. It's predictable. So there's less likely to have emotions involved in all these different things, but yeah.
That's interesting.
That's incredible. Why would you? Well, never mind.
No.
Why would you put yourself in that situation?
Why would you put yourself in a situation where you are actually juggling 2 or 3 relationships and all the emotions and the care that has to go into actually sustaining a healthy relationship with another person? I mean,
Why do you cheat and hide
job.
it? Why do you cheat and hide it from your relationship and then end up in a situation where it caused so much hurt and affect multiple people and sometimes families?
Be careful with the glass.
Why do you do that? There's things that is habitual in monogamous relationship that could be resolved if you just practice something else. So it's not one size fits all. It's just people need to be more flexible when it comes to relationship as well. People have the choice to make the decisions that they want and pursue a relationship dynamic that's fitting for their lives. Sometimes I don't want to get married. Sometimes I don't have the capacity to really have this relationship, and I just want partial. So I'm okay with you having another partner, or I'm not about that. So you go, I'm gonna outsource that to someone else. I'm gonna go do this. You know what I mean? And there could be a circular way of beneficial aspect to it where you now have someone else, another source of resource, and someone that cares for you. You can build a community, like you can look out for each other. And so there's multiple benefits and upsides to this that also people may not see. And it go, well, why would you want to do that? Don't you love one person? Why don't you want to love someone else? Like,
see, I don't know. I don't process it on why would you want to do that, because I think everybody is an individual that may have tolerance for or not tolerance for various things. So It may not fit for me, but it may fit for somebody else, and that's cool. I mean, if you can work it.
I think we all want to do these things. It's just like we're just ingrained not to, right? And I think nowadays, because of access to so many things, we're seeing everything all at once. We know that these things are possible now. There's, things have just changed, so we're just exercising those things.
It's cable TV. There's way too many channels.
You see, I'm
It's
over
a
here
lot of
quiet
channels.
because I'm trying to process all of this. This is really interesting.
It's a lot of channels.
A lot of channels.
But all those things are here. You can still be monogamous, and I mean, and that's fine. You can be poly, and that's fine.
But you can be
As long as
monogamous within poly, right? I mean,
You can be monogamous. You could be, yeah, there. You could be.
Poly-ish.
It's just layers. It's all of that is just really your household dynamic and communications and what you deem is like fitting for your
Polyamorous
relationship.
monogamy. Yeah.
That's what really we should focus on. What does a household want for themselves? And how can you evolve?
Polymonogamy.
I have to admit, I feel like there's a lot of patriarchy involved in polyamorous relationships, and maybe that's because it has not been fully accepted for women to be their full Sex in the City selves, and explore that from a feminine perspective. I'm just making this up as I go along. I'm just thinking and talking stream of consciousness, but. When I hear about polyamorous relationships, it's usually a man who's talking about it, not women. Women are like this, yes,
The
they
byproduct.
are. They're on the side because they are involved in the relationship, but they're not really the ones who are initiating it.
Yeah, that's what you see a lot of. I think polygamy is also, I wouldn't kind of distinguish that from polyamory. And again, the idea of polyamory. If anyone knows me, I'm very I stay away from these titles. I stay away from these boxes. I don't want people to think that I am this one thing at all. Polyamory is just a sort of umbrella term to understand how to communicate within this way of life that I'm on, right? But polygamy is obviously the guys at the head. He's dating multiple wives. They can't date others. Polyamory, when done right, it's not about that. It's just the idea of you saying, hey, I know that I have the capacity to love multiple people. Some people get in it for selfish reasons. Some guys will get in it and just, want to take their girl along to have a bunch of threesome with other people while they're married. You have the whole gamut of it. But in the way I practice, again, having raised by my mother who was instrumental in my life, I am not hierarchical to a woman. So I practice that in the polyamory relationship. She has the full capacity, the ability to do and practice. It's just, we just talk about it. We have a conversation, and it's not, I can date someone and you can't date this person. You know what I mean? That's not what it is for what I experience and what I know to be, just the ethical way to practice something as such.
Is it polyamorous when somebody's daddy had another family across town? What's that called?
That's monogamous.
No, that's not monogamous. That's
a whole
motherfucker.
nother family.
Oh, and I know people that had that. Absolutely.
That's poly daddy.
Not Mac Daddy. That's poly daddy.
I know a guy, no bullshit. I know a guy who was a truck driver, and he had a family here in the DMV. He had a whole family in California. He might have had another family somewhere else, but literally would be like, be here I got to take a load out of Cali. I'll be gone about 15, 18 days. Get there in 2 days, and he's there with that family.
Yo, back then it was so much easier to do that, right? Now,
Yeah, well, you're right.
Back then it was easy.
Wasn't no location tracker on your phone. That shit didn't exist.
All that is that I'll be back. You know what I mean? I don't know where Pablo went for the last 2 hours.
Hey, I stopped at 2 payphones. They were both out. Sorry. I couldn't get you.
I ran out of change.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
By the time I got to St. Louis, I didn't have a dime in my day.
But you got location tracking why
Was it T.O.'s father who had the family right across the street?
No, not across the street.
Well,
No, come on.
Close neighbor kind of thing that he didn't know about. Yeah, that was
Come on, not across the street.
I
Now,
don't
that's
want to
just
say
cruddy.
something that's
That's some
incorrect,
cruddy
so I
shit.
apologize if it wasn't him, but I could have sworn I saw one of those
Damn. I mean,
with Yamla or somebody. Yeah.
Oh, we had a family in the garage.
But the thing.
Come on, let's be real.
But
That was very
It
common
it was a thing.
in the culture.
It was a
right?
thing. But the guy that I knew that was a truck driver.
Y'all, we ain't making fun.
No. But when he, and I pray he doesn't watch the podcast because he'd be like. But the thing that got me was he would complain about never having no fucking money because he broke, and I'm like, yeah, but you got 2 whole families, motherfucker. I mean, like,
and he didn't see anything wrong with that, huh?
Well. No, he didn't. Other than getting the blues,
he didn't have the communication part.
Right. Only when it came to paying all the motherfucking bills. 2 damn motherfucking rents and mortgages, 2 motherfuckers clothes, school clothes, 2 motherfucking groceries and household, 2 motherfucking wives, 2 motherfucking shit. I was like, I hear them motherfuckers. I'm like, why?
So that circles back.
Why? Why are you doing this shit? Like, why? Like, what's your motivation? I guess it started out like, some fun shit.
That's what I'm saying. When Sherman asked a question, why would you want to deal with 2 relationship, right? Maybe like on the surface, like where you have to take the responsibility to do it versus one person in a monogamous relationship living multiple lives and having to deal with those things too, right? And it's one is just in the hiding. And you just have this heavy weight on your shoulder all through your life in your relationship. A lot of marriage, they don't all work out and be successful. I don't know if we can look at the stats. I'm pretty sure there are more failed marriages than successful marriage, right? The more failed marriage, there's a reason. I think it's probably, as a system, it's probably more worse than good. I think a few people
more marriages fail than succeed.
Yeah,
how about that?
Because a lot of times people knew what they signed up for when they were getting the divorce. Like, didn't even understand, right? But other people do it in a more informed way. You know what I mean? And you have a successful marriage because you know what you're in it for, not just the love aspect of it, right? Because people, you don't just marry for love.
But that's why I told you before that I noticed that people who've never been married desperately want to be married.
Yeah.
Whereas people who've been married have a much more grounded view of marriage and whether or not they'll go back in that pool again.
Yeah.
Or why they would do that, or what the parameters would be.
Yeah, I finally got a few examples of people that I know in my life currently that are doing marriages right. When I was growing up, I didn't know because they're the boomer generation. It was a different way of life. You know, that's your auntie over there the whole time. That's like, that hadn't been your auntie. You know what I mean? Like, you grew up with thinking that was auntie. They used to come out all the time. You know what I mean? Like, so
That's really your sister.
that's really your mom. You know what I mean? So it's just a different shit. Like, the boomer generation was more brutal. I mean, like, this shit was, it's like, I still got uncles just telling me, like, it's just is what it is. You're going to cheat. Just get around to it. Oh, that's cute. What you doing? You being faithful? You know what I mean? Like, at cookouts and shit with their beer, trying to chase after the high school girls that we in high school, older uncles, So I
the
get
drunk relative who announces that ain't your daddy.
Yeah, right.
Stop acting like that's your daddy. That ain't your daddy.
You're traumatized, and we were talking earlier on about trauma.
Right.
That's trauma.
Right.
All of this is not polyamorous relationships. It's all
Trauma being
trauma.
that too.
Well, it could be.
Yeah, but I mean, see, that's the thing. I mean, and that's the thing. When you get older, man.
That ain't your daddy.
That ain't your daddy.
Somebody had to tell her. I ain't gonna sit by and let this continue on.
Now?
She's 27. Yeah, no. Look. Shit, we should end this shit. If we don't end it now, it's gonna go another hour and a half.
Might as well end it.
Yeah, look. All right, we're gonna pick these threads up later because there's a whole lot of threads all over the place to be picked up.
But to end it on "That Ain't Your Daddy,"
that's a classic. I think one
that's
for the books. Yeah.
That ain't your daddy. All right, well, y'all. Till next time.
Till next time, y'all.
We out.
Peace.